Anxiety, right? Pretty much the topic of the decade, or of the like last few decades, I think. I remember like back in the 90s when I was a kid, it was already like a big thing, like a trendy sort of subject. You know, you would hear it in music and you would see it in movies. All angsty teenagers were the thing. So, how do you deal with anxiety? Seems like everybody has it nowadays. It's not that people didn't used to have it before, but it's such a world spread thing nowadays that makes you wonder, how can you fight it when there's just a bombardment of anxiety left and right? How do you deal with it when you're struggling, like real struggles, like not just angsty because your crush doesn't look at you, stuff like that, but when you're actually struggling for money, when you're actually having to deal with, you know, situations, quote unquote, with work, with everything that's happening around you. I don't know. First of all, I think that a good thing to do is just talk about it, let it out somehow. Whatever is in your mind, you can't support somebody that you want to, or you can't, you know, there's so much things you can't do right now, or that people seemed to not be able to do anymore. There's all sorts of social anxiety, work environment anxiety. I don't know, I'm not an expert, but I just see those kinds of things like spreading out. And from somebody who has suffered from depression ever since I was like a little kid, I just notice it like in people, like, you know, even when they're like acting, you could say normal, is one of those things you start to recognize because people wear certain masks. People wear certain certain characters that they create to disguise as problems that they might have, you know, and you recognize them because you have used them yourself, and you sort of become more and more experienced in that matter, and you see it. So one thing is those people who like say it out loud, and they're always showing it off, and there is those people who, in some cases, I have noticed that have even deeper problems. and they disguise it for whatever reason. Again, as I said, I'm not an expert. I like psychology, but I'm not an expert. I became very interested in psychology since I was a very kid because, again, I suffered from anxiety and a terrible depression before I even knew what the term depression was. So I just became interested in knowing why things happen, why your brain works a certain way, or all those types of stuff. And one of the things that I discovered is that it's not healthy at all. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but it's not healthy at all to swallow those things and just let them like get stale there inside of you. You should like let it out. You should express it somehow through talking about it with somebody. If you have a problem with somebody, say it. Risk it. If you're afraid of the consequences, as long as you're not like insulting somebody, talk to people in a civilized manner, you will realize that people respond well to that. Not always, of course, but you will be surprised of the amount of people that are going to be willing to have a civilized talk to you. People you wouldn't have imagined ever, and they do. I have discovered that saying things you have a problem with friends, with your significant other or whatever, your family and stuff, it works. It actually works, and usually it actually comes to everything ends up in good terms, or good enough, I think. I mean, depends, Or another thing, I'm just, I don't know, rambling, and I'm just kind of having a rant here because I just felt like I wanted to talk about something. I like making videos, and I wanted to have an excuse to make videos. So I just started. I don't know, wanted to talk about anything. And anxiety is a thing that's just flowing around, lately. Another thing, art, for example. I'm a huge defender of the importance of art in the world, in people. You don't have to be an artist. I don't consider myself an artist, but I do art. I started doing it to relieve myself. I started doing it since I was a kid, and later on, in a serious matter, when I was like 20 something, and I discovered that was my best therapy, especially when I was more alone, when I didn't have anybody to talk to. That was my refuge, my way to just relieve myself, get all that negativity, just flow out and express it somehow. Just let it go somehow. Keep yourself busy. Work out works really well. Do something, get a hobby or get something you're interested in. Work, whatever, and do it in a serious way. Commit yourself to it slowly. it would be a very long video if I started like going through all the details, but I'm talking about things that have worked for me. Work out, be disciplined. I'm a very lazy person, so the reason why I became disciplined in a lot of the things that I do is because I'm naturally very lazy. So I have this thing about doing the opposite of what's like in my nature, I guess. I have arachnophobia, and when I was a kid, I used to collect spiders, like real spiders in bottles. I used to catch them and have them in my room. And you know, I've had like fear of being in public, and a lot of times in my life, I have forced myself to be like in public to socialize and shit like that. And you know, whatever. Like I said, I'm very lazy, and I love working out. Whatever I do it very thoroughly. I try to be as disciplined as I can, and I have achieved it. I have managed it. I have become productive. I was very insecure, and I started, again, as I said, talking, saying things, approaching people, and yeah, whatever, stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm not insecure or anything like that. I'm not saying I'm not shy or shit like that, but I always fight it. I love talking, but like in person, I stutter a lot. That's my main problem. I'm trying to figure out ways to really like get rid of that problem and correct it. But like one of the most basic things I would say is just let it out. Like if you're feeling bad about something, just let it out. Say it. Just talk about it. I don't know. This is probably going to be a very boring video. I didn't found anything too interesting to talk about, but I'll try to make something a little bit more entertaining later on. I'm just tired. I'm just tired, and I have a lot of things to do. I'm in the middle of doing a shit ton of work, and I was feeling kind of anxious. I wanted to do something to like break that, so I did this. I'm gonna think of like I don't know what I'm doing with these videos. That's a problem, and I just do them for myself, so nobody watches them, so I don't have any feedback. So I just like do stupid shit like this, and like, you know, videos end up sucking. That's okay. Yeah, it feels good to just do them. Alright, yeah, whatever.